After 13 days of protest in the Polish parliament and on the 9th day of a hunger strike, farmer Marian Borowiak was taken to hospital after two other protesters had been given medical assistance earlier. Those still in the same are demanding a meeting with Prime Minister Donald Tusk to discuss the problems facing Polish farmers. These include the European Green Deal and food imports from Ukraine. But the Prime Minister is avoiding this confrontation, even in the Sejm. Only 3 farmers remain on hunger strike in the Sejm. On Saturday, 2 of them were taken to hospital, and yesterday the condition of a third, protest leader Mariusz Borowiak, deteriorated. After tests and drips, Mariusz signed out at his own request. His condition was serious. He allowed me to reveal his illness. He had peritonitis, so it was life-threatening. Farmers have been protesting in the Sejm since the 9th of May. They want to talk to Prime Minister Donald Tusk about the Green Deal. He doesn't want to talk. We would like to appeal to Prime Minister Donald Tusk that we are still waiting for him and we hope that he will meet us tomorrow. Maybe it's hard for us to say this because we are on the 9th day of a hunger strike and the 13th day in the Sejm. But Tusk remains deaf to farmers' demands, calling their hunger strike a political protest. I wish everyone good shape and health. I do not think it is worth risking your health for a political protest.
Donald!
He did not find time to talk to them, even when the head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, came to Poland. I don't plan to meet this group of protesters. They are not representative of Polish farmers. The farmers therefore repeated their appeal for a meeting in the mother tongue of Tusk's political ally. We would like to talk to you about Polish agriculture. We can talk to you in several languages, but we prefer Polish. Let's remember, farmers have been protesting for many weeks against the assumptions of the EU Green Deal. They claim that adopting agriculture to the ecological assumptions of the programme will destroy agriculture in Poland and in Europe. Their protest in Warsaw was brutally broken up by the security services under Tusk and his ministers. Since then, the Prime Minister has avoided contact with farmers. What hurts most is that Tusk's government is ignoring these starving people, and yet they are starving in our name because they are taking care of our problems.
Donald Tusk jest politycznym tchórzem i powtarzam to dzisiaj.
Donald Tusk is a political coward, and I can repeat this today. He is a coward because I saw him go underground during the Sejm just to avoid a meeting with farmers in the Sejm. He is a coward because he cannot face the problems and that he can solve.
Problemom, które może rozwiązać.
Maybe, but he doesn't want to, because by solving problems of Polish farmers, Tusk would expose himself to the EU bureaucrats. And they are the ones who hand out lucrative positions. So what does Donald Tusk need? He just pretends that there is no problem, that he is waiting for these farmers to end their protest, or for this protest to end, as in the case of the farmers who have been hospitalized. He makes them wait. He does not take into account the human cost. He does not take into account the tragedy of these farmers. The farmers do not give up. They announced a protest to the end. Their colleagues in other countries of the European Union are also protesting against the Green Deal. Work on the Central Communications Port is still delayed and no concrete decision has been made. Meanwhile, other countries are joining the race to build a new Silk Road linking Europe and China. Hungary and Portugal are already making similar investments. What if Poland does not enter the race at all? First come, first served. If the Hungarians actually build a hub, at least in terms of air cargo transport, certain routes will be established, supply chains will stabilize, and it will be much harder to take them away later. The competition is not asleep. The European Commission has approved the state's purchase of Budapest Airport from private investors. They will be bought by both the state and the French group Vinci, the same one that is ready to enter the Central Communications Port. Moreover, Portugal's Prime Minister has also announced a plan to build a new airport for Lisbon, 40 kilometers east of the city centre. Austria and Romania have also plans to build major airports. I'm sceptical about poor investment management. These words from the government plenipotentiary for the CPK, or Central Communications Port, say a lot. The government representative is carrying out internal audits and does not trust the work plans for the investment, so he is delaying it indefinitely. It took CPK more than 3 months to complete the application for a decision on the location of the airport in Baranów. This is already costing the Polish economy dearly. Even the ruling parties are aware of this. What we hear is that this project is dragging on and our timetables are getting longer and longer. We should try to be ambitious and finish this project by 2030 or 2032. That's no longer possible. This investment has already been reduced because the first plans were for an airport with a capacity of 40 million passengers. In 2030 or 2031, the airport will have to be expanded because, according to IATA forecasts, it will not be able to handle 30 or 40 million passengers. IATA is the International Air Transport Association. It is predicted that the number of passengers will continue to grow, even in Poland. Experts have been talking about the importance of a central communications port for a long time. The Central Communications Port is a key investment in Poland's development. Firstly, it will make it possible to connect Polish regions with each other and with central Poland by rail. In terms of aviation, we are talking about opening a window on the world so that Poland can develop its air connections with the whole world and benefit from the advantages that this brings, that is, investment, trade and tourism. But those in power must also say yes to CPK. Donald Tusk today ordered a commission to investigate Russian influence. Yesterday he leaked information about alleged Russian agents. So you might ask, why this commission? Around Antony Macierewicz, the information loop we are talking about is tightening. Antony Macierewicz has been politically active since the 1970s, and his activities have been anti-Russian from the beginning. In 1976, he co-founded the Workers' Defense Committee, one of the first opposition organizations. After 1989, he tried to have the communists who ruled Warsaw on behalf of Moscow held accountable. The beginning of his attack on me was in 1992, when I was carrying out lustration. That is the reference point. 30 years ago, in Jan Oleszewski's government, Antony Macierewicz served as Minister of the Interior and Administration. He drew up a list of Secret Service collaborators of the Communist Security Services, including influential politicians. Fearing that the agents will be unveiled, the Round Table Agreement dismissed Jan Oleszewski's government, which Donald Tusk played a key role in overthrowing. The long arm of Russia, the military intelligence service, was infiltrated by Russia. It was led by Moscow-trained General Marek Dukachevsky. In 2006, Antony Macierewicz liquidated this institution. Now, thanks to Donald Tusk, the people of the former military intelligence services are back in favour. This is a role reversal. Antony Macierewicz remained an anti-communist and a supporter of independence. The question is, who is Donald Tusk? During Beata Szydło's government, Antony Macierewicz served as defense minister. At the time, he created the Territorial Defense Force, which provided invaluable assistance during the pandemic, repelled a hybrid attack on the Polish border, and received refugees from Ukraine. Minister Macierewicz placed a strong emphasis on cooperation with the United States, and during his tenure, American troops arrived in Poland on a permanent basis. Antony Macierewicz has always defended the special role of the United States in Poland's security. Donald Tusk, on the other hand, is in favour of pushing the United States out of Europe. Antony Macierewicz also took on the responsibility of establishing the truth about the Smolensk tragedy in 2010. The subcommittee he chaired produced a report stating that the Smolensk disaster was caused by two explosions in the final phase of the flight. One of Donald Tusk's first decisions after assuming power was to dismiss the Smolensk subcommittee. A hailstorm left streets in the western Polish city of Gniezno flooded as storms passed over the country. Poland's weather agency says areas of the west and southeast were particularly affected by hail, heavy rain and strong winds. The storm brought such an intense hail downpour that some roofs collapsed and public buildings were flooded, prompting the formation of a crisis staff. The fire department has responded to more than 200 calls for assistance. Units from Gniezno and Poznan counties have been dispatched to support local efforts. Despite their efforts, some streets in Gniezno remain impassable. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Defence Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz announced that soldiers will assist in the recovery operations. Following the storm in Gniezno and the surrounding area, soldiers are mobilising forces to provide assistance to those affected and remove the effects of the elements, he wrote on social media. Decisions will be made and the appropriate sections of support will be directed. The storm brought hailstones up to 3 centimetres in diameter. Although there were no reports of strong gusts of winds, the volume of hail and rain was enough to cause significant flooding and damage. Footage shared on social media shows flooded streets in Gniezno. The severe weather has affected not only the Greater Poland region, but also Kujawsko-Pomorskie and Lubuskie regions.